Hi, I'm Teresa, Tomeo, author, speaker, and host of the daily Catholic morning radio program, Catholic Connection, heard on EWTN around the country and around the globe. And welcome to 10 Minutes with Teresa Tomeo, or 10 Minutes with T, that would be me, yours truly. And these are brief 10-minute segments where we take a quick but an important look at timely issues affecting our Catholic faith and our world. And I'm so excited about our guest in today's segment. She's a friend of mine. She's a fellow Catholic author and speaker. Her name is Katrina Zeno, and she also works as a coordinator for the John Paul II Resource Center for the Theology of the Body and Culture for the Diocese of Phoenix. And her books are fantastic, among them Discovering the Feminine Genius, Every Woman's Journey, The Body Reveals God, a guided study of Pope John Paul II's theology of the body, and I think something a lot of us can relate to, whether we're a man or a woman, when life doesn't go your way. This in particular, though, written for women, hope for Catholic women facing disappointment and pain. And it's so good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Teresa. It's wonderful to be here.
Well, we want to talk today about something called the feminine genius, and that is a term really that our beloved John Paul II made famous, I should say. What does feminine genius mean, actually, Katrina, when we're talking about that topic?
Well, John Paul II, of course, was someone who espoused a very deep understanding of the human person. And actually, in our culture today, isn't that one of the things most under attack? Is we have lots of people wanting to say masculinity and femininity are really just culturally imposed. It's something that, culture determines whether you behave this way or that way, and that really you can choose your gender. You can choose your orientation to life. And John Paul II, based and rooted in the tradition of our faith, looks at the human person and says, no, masculinity and femininity is a gift. It's rooted in our very nature. Actually, it's rooted in our very biology, which is one of the really fascinating studies nowadays, is looking at, for instance, in the brain, how the brain of men and women are different. And we know that the hormones of men and women are different. So right down to the very cellular level, we're different. And so John Paul II, particularly in his apostolic letter entitled On the Dignity and Vocation of Women,
which is one of my favorites, yes.
So he develops this idea of the feminine genius, or the genius of women, which is the unique contribution that women have to make to the world, to culture, which is different than men. And nowadays that's not really a popular thing to say, because we want to say that equality equals sameness. And John Paul II would say that equality equals this beautiful distinction that each of us have a gift to make.
Isn't it unfortunate that in the world we think that we have to be the same and that women have to be exactly like men in order to get ahead? We're really selling ourselves short as women, because the church doesn't say that a woman has to be, barefoot and pregnant and home all the time. I mean, if you look at the scriptures and the Lord's relationship with women, he really broke, new ground in terms of treating women entirely differently. And also, even in the church, there are so many women chancellors, for example, at the diocesan level. There are people like you who have positions of authority in the church. And yet we bring such an incredibly unique package where we're selling ourselves short if we leave out that complementarity that we have with the sexes. Why do you think that's happened?
Well, I think part of it is because we placed a great deal of value on economic earning. When you meet someone, what do you ask them? What do you do? Based on what they do, if they're a doctor or a lawyer, they go up in your estimation. If they say, oh, I'm a cashier, I'm a sales clerk, oh, well, or I'm a plumber, or some women say, I'm just a housewife. Wow, just a housewife. Yeah. That you have so much under your care. But I think part of the difficulty is that we equate our value with what we do. And once again, part of what John Paul II has tried to recover, and what our church has always tried to hold forth, is first of all, our value is based on who we are, not what we do. And for us as women, that means our fundamental value is based on the fact that we are a daughter of the Father.
Daughter of the King.
Daughter of the King. It's undisputable. We are daughter. Look at how Mary was greeted. Hail, full of grace. Or some titles are, Hail, highly favored daughter. I was thinking this morning in my prayer time, because I was reading from the Gospel of Luke. If an angel appeared to me, how would he greet me? And I thought, wouldn't it be great if an angel appeared to me and said, "Greetings, O highly favored daughter," because that's who I am. To just say, "Oh, greeting, O highly favored generic human being."
What does that mean?
Yeah,
that's not exactly,
dignity,
flattering.
No, dignity and identity. But notice, oh, highly favored daughter has nothing to do with what I do. I once had a friend say, you don't do a daughter, you are a daughter. And so that's who we are. And the feminine genius means that we as women have a very particular gift to give, which is that we can't deny it. We're mothers. Even if we've never had biological children,
spiritual mothers.
That's exactly it. We're
Right.
spiritual mothers. And so our call is to nurture the emotional, moral, cultural, and spiritual life of others. That's the unique, to me, that's the specific charism. That's the feminine genius, is that we have this ability to nurture, whether we're single, whether we're married, whether we're a widow, whether we have a successful marriage, whether our marriage has ended, and we find ourselves in when life didn't go our way.
Right.
It doesn't mean that suddenly we lose our giftedness as women because suddenly our relationships are changed or our circumstances have changed. We always have this ability to nurture others because as women we have an empty space within. We have a sacred space within. Men don't. Sorry, but that's just the way we're designed.
Right.
And so the body tells us something. Once again, the body is not just this tool that I lug around with me and then I get rid of someday. The body really speaks about my femininity. And so I have this sacred space within. You do, every woman does, and that tells us we're called to receive others into that sacred space and nurture their emotional, moral, cultural, and spiritual life. What a wonderful reason to get up in the morning.
And what's so frustrating to me is that when I started reading these documents, when I came back to the church, Mulieris Dignitatem, the Papal Letter to Women, the other works of John Paul II, and really studying Scripture and seeing how Jesus related to women and how he broke the norms, as we said, and the fact that the world doesn't see this. I mean, most people, even when you speak all over the country, you can see the eyes rolling back in the head when you use these Latin terms, Mulieris Dignitatem or Redemptoris Mater or whatever we're talking about. To me, that's such a shame because there's so much in these documents. We only have about 2 minutes left. What would you like people to walk away with today? We've just had 10 minutes on this beautiful teaching on the feminine genius. What would you like them to walk away with in terms of understanding who we are in Christ as women and men?
I think one of the most important things is to realize that our masculinity and femininity isn't a mistake and it's not a cosmic error. I think many of us try to dissociate ourselves from our bodies as opposed to really embracing our masculinity and femininity. But obviously in our culture that's difficult because we're getting all kinds of mixed messages as to what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman. But if I could ask the women in particular, but the men too, to walk away with one thing, it would be to become a friend with your body. To learn to befriend your body and see what your body teaches you and speaks to you about who you are. Because we are so dissociated from our bodies that we think that that's not any kind of input to our value, our dignity, and our
God
mission.
created us. We are made in his image and likeness.
Male
and he
and
came,
female.
male and female, and the incarnation. So the body is not a bad thing.
No, the body is a gift.
Beautiful. It's a gift.
It's a gift. And so that is what I would hope is that people could begin to walk that journey of realizing, this is my best friend. Do most of us think about that when we wake up in the morning? I get to wake up with my best friend.
Yeah.
My body is my best friend because it helps me be God's presence here on earth by making this gift of self. When other people see me, or as that book says, when people see my body should reveal God by being a gift.
As opposed to hiding our identities and who we are.
In who we are, or trying to diminish my body, or for a lot of women, they loathe their bodies, or they despise their bodies, or they really just would rather have someone else's body.
And we're always trying to improve our bodies. Not that that's not a good thing in terms of eating healthy and exercising, but there's such an obsession with being what the media says we have to be, whether it be a size 0 or a size 2, or wearing our hair a certain way, or changing our appearance in some way, shape, or form. The research out there in terms of what we're doing to our bodies and first not accepting us for who we are, it's very sad to me. And that's why if we could just get people to recognize that you said it, but also to take the time maybe to read one of these documents, which are so easy to find online.
It would be fabulous, especially John Paul II's Letter to Women.
Letter to Women.
That's
I
accessible
love that.
to everyone.
And that's a quick read.
It's a quick read.
Well, we need more time. And we're going to be talking to you
It's
in a
a
few
deal.
more segments, so I appreciate that. And I appreciate your work so much. Again, Katrina Zano is a Catholic author and speaker and also coordinator for the John Paul II Resource Center for the Theology of the Body and Culture in the Diocese of Phoenix. Thanks so much for tuning in to 10 Minutes with Teresa Tomeo, where we take a brief look at timely issues affecting our Catholic faith and our world. We'll see you next time on 10 Minutes with T. Thanks for watching. To find out more about the show, go to faithandlifetv.com. To book Teresa for a speaking event or to find out more about Teresa's ministry, visit teresatomeo.com. We'll see you next time right here on 10 Minutes with T. God bless.